Hello and welcome back, everyone. In today's episode, we are going to be talking to Erin Ryan. She is a Reiki master, acupuncturist, and just overall awesome human being. She's the one who got me into Reiki and attuned me. So if you are curious about Reiki or want to learn more about it and energy work in general, then this is the episode for you because you will learn all about it. If you want to get in touch with Erin and get your own Reiki session, all of her information is shared at the end of the episode, and there's also a link in the show notes that'll take you to her website. Be sure to check out all of her other entrepreneurial endeavors. This girl is on fire. This is Jeannie, and I'm here with Joe.
Yes, Joe's here too.
And Sappho. And today's guest is one of my very good friends, Erin Ryan. Say hello.
Hello. I'm still giggling from that. The mammoth.
Yeah, no.
Just geeking out.
Very cute little mascot. Erin here is a Reiki master, and she teaches that, among other things too, acupuncture. So I'll let you take it away, Erin. Who are you? What do you do?
Yes, thank you for having me. And my little baby here, I'm 36 weeks pregnant today, so it's we're going to get some of that magic too.
Yes.
We have two interview guests today.
Yeah, there you go.
The last time I saw her, she was pregnant with a different baby.
I know. Yeah, now she's 4. So yeah, my name is Erin Ryan. I am a Reiki master teacher, so Holy Fire, traditional Usui, and then I actually founded 5-Element Dragonfire Reiki last year. I am known as the 6-figure Reiki Rebel, and really how I serve is healers in business. That is what I came on planet Earth for, is to really serve healers. And healers don't have to be anything specific. It's not you have to be an energy healer to be a healer. It's really about being of service in a greater way to the entire planet. You were here to shift planet Earth. So I love empowering healers. I love helping them to learn how to heal themselves more, how to help heal their clients, their loved ones more, and then also to get the wealth in their hands. And that's why I think the business piece is so sexy to me, is helping them lay the foundation for their 6-figure business so that they can serve and have wealth and have freedom of choice so that we can make those moves. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I have a master's degree in Oriental medicine, a bachelor's in nutrition, which is Chinese herbs. And I've been teaching Reiki since 2015. I've been practicing it since 2009. And I have my beautiful acupuncture practice as well. Chinese medicine is very near and dear to my heart. And I've just seen so many beautiful transformations. So everything I do is in service around that. So that's
I can attest to that. That's how I met you. Erin taught one of my classes back when I was in school to be a massage therapist. She taught an energy work class to us, and I totally dove down into that rabbit hole with her. I got Reiki done, and then she attuned me, the Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. I haven't done the masters, but I think right now.
For an unfamiliar listener, do we want to kind of sum up what Reiki is? I'm sure there's people that probably have heard.
So Joe,
word Reiki.
You're unfamiliar.
Well, I was not as familiar until I knew you. Now I'm much more familiar with what it is, but I mean, maybe a quick overview for the average listener.
Yeah, take it away, Reiki master.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always curious when people are newer to it. How would you define it, Joe?
How would I define? That's great. Now I'm the interviewee.
You don't have to, but I'm always curious because it's such a hard thing to encapsulate in a few words. I have done it now for so long, but I'm just curious about your take.
I mean, to me, it's not. It's kind of maybe a mixture of things. I feel like it's not necessarily therapy, but it's more or less trying to really dive deep and get in tune with more energies and feelings and try to, I don't know, it's kind of like this podcast, get to deeper meanings and deeper truths of, what's really under the surface. So I guess that's how I I kind of view it as more, I don't want to just say it's therapy. I mean, it is therapy, but it's
therapeutic.
It's therapeutic, yeah. It's not all just through conversation. It's through unspoken communication, and I don't know, that's how I view it. As I don't want to just say energy straight up, but like it is energy work. But yeah, like I don't know how you guys do it. That's the thing. Like
Right. You don't know the mechanism of action. Like, how does this
Yeah.
actually function? But that's really beautiful. Everything you just said. I love it. The way that I sort of succinctly talk about Reiki is it's a Japanese form of energy healing that promotes relaxation, reduces stress. It helps your body to heal itself. And so it is energy work. It is going straight into our energetic system, so into the meridians, into the chakra system, into the auric field, and all the levels and layers, especially the emotional body, mental body, spiritual body, and physical body as well. Reiki is really, really beautiful with physical issues as well. And we're just balancing. And that's what I do in Eastern medicine as well with acupuncture. We're balancing, and it's just a different way to access the energy. So Reiki, Rei, is like loosely translated as divine, like divinely guided, and ki or chi or prana is energy, like universal life force energy. So when you put them together, it's divinely guided, universal life force energy. And so the idea here is when we are tuned to Reiki, when we're connecting to the energy, we are pulling through our crown to the top of the head, down into the heart center, and then through our hands. That's typically how we, use Reiki. This beautiful energy, Reiki, that helps to heal. Like it creates this environment where our bodies feel safe, and then we can shift. Now, the total like science geek in me, like the neuroscience geek in me, loves to go into the nervous system aspect too. So is it okay if I go there?
Yeah.
That's actually what fascinates me too, is because I'm sure that also helps maybe bridge the gap to people who are like maybe
more scientific minded or
Yeah.
like that.
I don't want to say non-believer, but I mean, people that are question, or maybe they have some apprehension on, is this really a thing, or is this really real? And it's
So
like,
what's the
yeah, it is
science?
real. So here's some.
Yeah.
So yeah, the neuroscience. I'm interested to hear that.
I know, it's amazing. So we have our nervous system, right? And it's broken up into parasympathetic nervous system response, which is rest, digest, relax. It's when we heal, when we feel safe. And then there's sympathetic nervous system response, which is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Most people talk about fight or flight, right? So the idea is like, there's a threat, an external. It can be an internal threat too, even a thought, but let's just go with external. So maybe you're about to get hit by a car, right? So you're driving or you're walking across the street, you're almost get hit by a car. This automatic reflex kicks in, the sympathetic nervous system, which is like fight or flight. In that case, of course, it's going to be flight. You're going to want to flee. You want to get out of the way because what you're up against is bigger than you, a car. Or like our ancestors, right? They're going to get eaten by a tiger or something like that. Okay, do I want to fight this thing?
Or a mammoth. Just saying.
I know, or a mammoth. I feel like mammoths would just be like hanging out, like, just like, don't bother me and I won't bother you. I actually thought about using that as the example, and I was like, I don't know if that would work.
Stampede.
Yeah, maybe a stampede, exactly. Definitely you're going to flee, right? So there's, in our modern day society, we don't have tigers that are threatening us. And the idea of like a car that's going to hit you as you're walking across the street, probably not going to happen to most people in their life, thankfully. But we have bills. We have, all these stressors, even things like social media, being so connected and constantly being bombarded by information. Just the stressors of life and being a human puts most of us, or many of us, into this sympathetic nervous system response, whether it's acute, meaning it's just like something like I talked about, the example I gave, or more of a chronic condition where we're just like stuck there all the time. So what Reiki does is it shifts the nervous system out of sympathetic nervous system response, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And freezing is when we're overwhelmed. So people with depression, for instance, that's like an ongoing freeze response. You're constantly overwhelmed. And so our body goes, okay, now I'm going to be the deer in the headlights and I'm just going to freeze. I'm going to stop. So that's like when, possum plays dead, for instance. It's going, okay, there's an external threat here. It's better if I just play dead. And that part of our brain takes over. It's actually called an amygdala hijacking. So our amygdala is the part of the brain that it shuts down the prefrontal cortex, which is where our personality is. That's where, like, you know, we're talking right now, we're all in sympathetic nervous or parasympathetic nervous system response. We're pretty relaxed. That gets shut down. So the personality goes away, the higher order thinking goes away, and then it's just instinct, right? And then fawn response is a little bit less talked about, a little bit less known. But with that one, it's where we're like just trying to appease, right? So I'm just going to make the person or situation that's threatening me, I'm going to make sure that it's like that they're happy or it's taken care of as much as I can. So people pleasing might be something that is like, if we're stuck in that pattern, that's how that manifests. So what Reiki does is it shifts us out of that. It starts to move the nervous system into parasympathetic nervous system response so we can rest, we can digest, we heal. And so that's why a lot of times when people come in for a Reiki session, they'll come in super tense. They'll come in with all this overwhelming energy or feelings or thoughts. And when they leave, they're like, it's like they can take a breath. It's there's two things people always tell me when they get a Reiki session. And then there's more than that, of course, but at bare minimum, it's I feel more relaxed and I feel lighter. And that is because they can perceive the lightness of the energy moving. They don't necessarily understand like how it works, but there's more space because we're going in directly into the energy system. So I'm going to take a breath now and let you respond to that if you want.
Well, yeah, you talk about the freezing and fawning, and that hits too close to home because I've been there, being overwhelmed, opening 3 businesses over the course of the last, several years, and all the things that go along with that, and issues with other things going on, and and then the fawn part too.
I feel like my adolescence, I was in fawn mode for the entire time.
Well, and you could probably attest that I've done that.
You have, yeah, for sure.
I think I try to be a people pleaser or a yes guy too much. Would you say that like the flight mechanism, because we're not running from crazy, ferocious beasts, but maybe the flight is being used as kind of maybe an avoidance tactic of things and trying to ignore responsibilities maybe, or, would you say that's like a modern day flight response, is just to try to get away or avoid things that you need to address?
Yeah, flight is all about moving away from the fear. But what I found, I'm so glad you brought this up, is flight, the way that I see it play out, is overproductivity, burnout. Mm-hmm. So where we're like, if I just do, keep going, don't stop, right? Don't stop, don't rest, don't refill my cup, right? So people talk about that all the time where like, oh, I feel so depleted, I'm so tired, I'm so da-da-da-da. That is, to me, the modern day way that it manifests. And so, like, for me, I want to say this about the nervous system. It has a function. It's supposed to be that, right? We're supposed to have those acute times where we go into those, right? We go into the fight or flight or freeze or even fawn. But when they become the lifestyle, the way that we're constantly living, which is how I see society today, that's when it starts to become very damaging and destructive. And so that's where we see this very masculine energy, right? Going into the energetics. When we're too much in our masculine energy, too much overexertion, then we burn ourselves out. And that's what I have been coming down from personally. So definitely the fawn response for me too, growing up, freeze too with depression, right? That's one of the beautiful things about Reiki. When I took my Reiki Master Teacher class back in 2015, I had this experience, and my heart chakra, so chakras are their energy centers in the body. Mine, it hurt, like not physically hurt necessarily, but I could feel it opening, and it hurt for like 2 or 3 months straight. And I could tell that I was just pumping all of this energy, old energy out of my body. And then my depression just lifted. And I had been struggling with that my entire life, and it was just gone, just like that. after that process. So that's why I started also teaching it. Like I was called to teach it. So it's amazing. Yeah.
So I guess that's a good segue into why did you choose to teach this? What got you into it? How are you introduced?
Yeah, I was curious if there's like a certain catalyzing moment, or is this like a gradual realization over time? It's like, yeah, this is what I want to do.
Growing up, so my mom she was very, very troubled, but very sort of psychic, very intuitive. She was connected to the energy realm. And so I was sort of exposed that way. And I was always interested in energy, always interested in spirituality. And once I think I kind of went through the norm that everyone does, you go to school and all these things, and realized like, wow, I am not happy. And this is not working. Like the way that I'm doing life, I feel very disjointed. I don't feel like I belong. I remember in second grade even realizing that young, like, wow, I don't fit. So when I heard of Reiki, I was like, what is this? I just need to learn this. It was an intuitive thing. And a lot of my students, that's how they choose it. They're like, I don't really know what this is, but I know I need to be here. That's all I know.
Me.
Yeah.
That was exactly me.
Exactly. Right. There's just a pull, right? And so that just my love of energy and spirituality combined with just hearing about Reiki and this pull that I had to it just sparked everything. So I just had to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's almost implying that there's people out here that are just in tune to it, but they sort of need to go through a little bit of an awakening in their own life first to realize like, this is my calling, or here is this mechanism to move energy and shift it.
So let's talk about your classroom, the way you teach and your style. How do you go about doing that? I mean, I've been in your class.
Yeah.
Let's dive deeper into that, how you do it.
Well, and even since you took my class, it's different now, right? Because this is what I love about being a healer in business myself, is everything gets to evolve as I evolve. So the way I structure my classes now, it is sort of what I consider a really beautiful harmony between sort of the masculine energetics and the feminine energetics. So I have a structure, but then I have a lot of fluidity when I'm teaching. So I'm a channel, I'm an intuitive. My students that come to me know that. So for instance, I just taught 5-element Dragonfire Reiki level 3. It was the first day yesterday, actually. And there was a lot that came through in that class that just needed to be said for those particular students. And it was really beautiful. But then also we have the material that we have to get through. And, you're here to learn, right? And I'm here to teach. So they're very fluid. I've had people who've taken my Reiki classes, for instance, who were like, oh my gosh, this is like a breath of fresh air. Maybe they took Reiki before and it was very like rigid or structured, like overly so, right? And mine are not. It's very soft. It's very powerful, but it's just very organic. Yeah.
And then your students too, what's like the age range you usually get that you're surrounded with?
Usually since I started teaching 5-element Dragonfire Reiki last year, literally every single student, I think except for maybe like one, are healers in business. I keep attracting healers in business because that's what I'm about, right? So they are usually like, 30s, 40s, 20s, somewhere in that range, but usually more like in the 30 to 40, 50, and sometimes even higher than that in age range. And they're self-led women, most of them. I've, of course, taught men too, and that's really beautiful when they show up. And I've actually had some really, really deep, amazing transformations working with men, but most of them are women and they're self-led. They are really ready for a level of embodiment in their life that they know that they can't get or haven't been able to get in a different way. So I work a lot with ascended masters and beings, dragons especially. That's 5-element Dragonfire Reiki is a combination of working with dragon energy, dragon fire specifically, Reiki, and then I'm bringing in my Eastern medicine my medical background with the meridian system. So the meridians are energy highways that run throughout the body. So our entire emotional being, these meridians they're connected. They're connected by the elements. So we go into the meridian system and learn how to heal and to clear. So dredging and nourishing those meridians as well with dragon fire. It's very, very cool.
Would you say that Reiki is something that anyone could learn, how to administer it, if you will? Or is it sort of like you either got it or you don't, like you're born with it? Or is it something that anybody can tap into if they get the right discipline under their wings, and it's something that they want to, like you had that realization, like, yeah, this is what I want to do? Is it something like that, or is it one of those things that anybody could do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can do it. Children even, they usually take to it really, really well because everything is energy. Everything. It's just energy, right? Can either be it can't be destroyed, right? We can only transfer it and transmute it. So we're all energy workers. It's a matter of how conscious we are. So if you desire to be more conscious of energy, then Reiki is a really beautiful way to do that, because you start to tap into your intuition. You start to tap into this divine energy that is moving through you, and it changes. It just changes your perception of the world, of yourself. I mean, I've had so many people who have said, like, I love therapy. By the way, I have a therapist. I love my therapist. She's absolutely amazing. However, right, there are certain things that sometimes talk therapy specifically, cannot access. And so that's where energy work comes in. So I've heard a lot over the years from people that, wow, like, this works for me. I've gone to therapy and it helps, and they see that it's good. And some of them have said it has not helped at all, but this works. And I think it's that community piece, but anybody can learn it. You just have to have the desire, because we're already doing, not Reiki specifically, but we're already energetic beings working with energy all of the time, every day. So it's a matter of deepening into that.
Yeah, it's like physically walking through, having, opening doors and having like a dark room. And then we have this tool now, like a flashlight, and we're able to see better into where we're going. That's how I see Reiki, and that's how it's helped me. I definitely think it is a very handy tool to have in my toolbox.
It is very handy. I always, I tell my students, I'm like, when you know Reiki, there will never come a point in your life where you will say, I don't know how to help somebody. Because no matter what somebody is struggling with, you can offer them this beautiful gift of energy, right? It's just like surrounding them with a blanket of unconditional love. Like, who doesn't need that?
Exactly.
Right?
Like, especially at work.
I was about to say, your tattoo work, you're a pseudo therapist while you have somebody in your chair.
Yeah, but the clients, the people I work with, like my boss and other employees, like I've done Reiki for them. And my boss, actually, at least once a year we do one, and he's always like, I think he gets to that point, like it's always around, I think, November, and he's like, I need Reiki today, let's go do it. I'm like, okay, I got you. Then we go in and see where things need to be cleared up. But yeah, with clients too, especially, I think I do attract a lot of the, not so much like business people. I think I get a lot of teachers, honestly. I do get a lot of teachers who come in and get tattoos, and mostly women. I do have men clients too, but I think a lot of them, they do like just to come in and be heard and listened to. And I've had people cry, and I give my opinion or advice on something, or even I tune into that Reiki part of me when I'm tattooing, and sometimes I just, in the back of my head, I'm like, you have to say this, say this, say this, say this. They need to hear this. And I say it, and I'm like, I don't know where it's coming from, but I need to tell you something. And then like they'll cry, or it'll make complete sense to them. And
yep, you're channeling. Yeah, and channeling, when you are open, like to it, and you are intuitive and you're connected, it just happens. Like things just pop out of your mouth. Like when I first started channeling, I'm like, where did that come from? And it's very interesting. So I've had Crystal Lake Reiki that's my business since 2015 when I opened it, and starting to do Reiki professionally and intuitive work. And truth be told, I combine a tremendous amount of modalities into my energy sessions. So it's not standalone Reiki. It's a whole arsenal of different things. But the wording that I use sometimes, or the things that I know, people are like, "What? What did you just say?" And I will use words I've never used, ever. And they're like, "Why did you use that specific word?" And it always has a connection to them, right? Or something came up, or how did you know this? How can you see that? Like, there's so much that goes into it. And that's what's so beautiful about Reiki is it connects. It connects us to ourselves. It connects us to other people. It connects us to the divine. It connects us to Gaia, Mother Earth. Like, it's just this beautiful sense of belonging and completeness that we can access in that space. Because, like I tell my students, most of the time we're spending a lot of times in our head, right? Like, we're very whoop up there. When you do Reiki, when you're practicing Reiki, or you're receiving Reiki, it's like, we're coming out of the head. We're coming back into the body, and we're connecting to the intuition specifically when you are performing it. So I just think that's so cool that you found that teachers find you. And I love that your boss is like, "I need a session." Like, people can just feel it. They can feel it in their bodies. They're like, "I need to come in." So I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that you could pick up on something and people are dumbfounded at how you know it. And I would just tell them, "Well, that's what you're communicating."
Yeah, you're telling that
I'm
to
feeling
me,
that
buddy.
from you. That came straight from you. I'm just repeating what you're putting out. Your clients, so all of your clients are business people, or do you have just people who are doing this for personal reasons, or I guess there's a few part question there, but I was just curious, are all the clients business owners or business people, and what made you decide on that type of client versus just all the different options of
It's
that may be out there?
it was very organic. So when I opened back in 2015, it was just like a huge array of different people, different walks of life. And I think that really, there's still that. I still see people of all different walks of life. It was just interesting with Dragonfire Reiki specifically, because I haven't been teaching that one for very long. It just dropped in last year. That particular class and container seems to be very magnetic for healers in business. As far as energy work goes, acupuncture, like all the other sort of things I do, that's different people at different walks of life. But there is a commonality, which is this deeper desire to heal and being more self-led. So stepping more into their own leadership of I'm taking personal responsibility for my life, and I actually want answers. I actually want to move through this, and I don't really care what it takes. I'm sick of living this way. I get a lot of people that are like that. When I first opened, I got more people who were a little bit more casual about it, right? Just I'm going to try this out. I'm just curious, or so-and-so told me to come do this. Since I've been in practice for longer, I tend to attract people who are ready for deeper levels of integration and shadow work and, all of that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I love working with people at all different stages, really.
So what would you say then is the deeper meaning of what you teach? If you had to boil it down to just one truth, what does it really mean to teach Reiki?
Reiki is all about coming back to a space of oneness, right? So it's connection, like I said, to self, to Gaia, to God. And I'm not using God in the traditional sense, like religious sense, just the divine, right? Yeah. Whatever that is for you, however a person defines that, just recognizing that there's something greater. So it's this deeper connection, this coming home to yourself, but simultaneously feeling more, like I said, connected to everything else. Reiki specifically has really taught me that I can transmute and alchemize my deepest pain into medicine. So for myself, for my clients, to serve, to be of service, and that we can overcome anything, any obstacle that has been thrown at us, we can alchemize that. And it never ceases to amaze me how true that is. So it helps to make sense out of like the things that have happened to us, the why, the greater why, and it's just beautiful. It's such an honor.
So it's like you're first showing people a different mode of transportation back to source, and also how to be an alchemist.
Essentially, yeah, that's exactly
amazing.
it. It's very cool.
So kind of, I mean, but my takeaway is more about, I mean, maybe not feeling like you have a duty to help others or heal others, being equipped with that power of Reiki, but I guess more of a sense of connectivity and like you said, to kind of take things and turn them into medicine. I don't know. That's how I see it. And the balance concept, I don't know, that just rings with me quite a bit because I'm always looking at trying to achieve balance in life, like not having too much time spent in one place. And she knows this.
It's funny because his natal chart, he's completely balanced with his feminine and masculine energy. It's like literally 50-50. But and he is all about balance. And what is your rising is Libra.
I'm a Libra. Sun sign Libra. Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah. So I like that whole aspect of it because I'm always striving for that balance and not, spending too much time on business and not enough on, personal life or,
me.
Yeah. Or with our mammoth friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I really love the whole concepts and ideas.
I love balance too. So definitely studying yin and yang because we live in a dualistic world. And this is what's so interesting about the pursuit of balance is yin and yang. It's really interesting. So obviously when I was working on my master's, we studied it extensively because it's very integral to Eastern medicine. And yin and yang are never static. So meaning we're never going to find the perfect balance that can get locked in, right? It's more about, and this is going more into like the Tao, the idea that instead of these crazy highs and these crazy lows where you're ping-ponging all over the place, like they get, your highs still stay high, but it's like the lows aren't so low and they get closer and closer together. So you're oscillating in a way or moving through life in a way that it's feeling more balanced, right? You're feeling just good. But yin and yang, yin, when so ultimate yin becomes yang. So the idea here, I'll give you an example. Yin would be the nighttime. And so yin becomes yang, which is daytime, daybreak, right? And then ultimate yang becomes yin. So when we're going from, sunset into the darkness of the yin time. Or have you guys ever picked up dry ice? It's so cold, it burns. So yin is cooling and yang is burning. Or have you ever touched a flame? Hopefully never. But if you did touch a flame that was so hot, it actually could feel cold to the touch. That's another example of yang becoming yin. So we're sort of always pursuing that. And again, I'm a Libra, so I totally get the whole balance thing. And it's more about the journey, right? Recognizing that maybe I'll never achieve the perfect balance. But in these moments, I feel like we all can access that and then just moving through it from there.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever get there and everything just, like you said, doesn't say static, but it's that constant pursuit. It's always going to tip back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, and it's good not to ever have a destination, to keep going and be able to ride the wave through all the way through.
Or I think, like you said,
change.
Having the consciousness or being aware of it, knowing not so much, you're never going to stop it from flowing back and forth, but to be aware of when it's flowing and how much it is and to be able to
awareness is everything.
Address it from there.
So much more pleasure in that. Learning, it's like the surf around the wave. You were talking about waves. Like if you perfect your surfing abilities, quote unquote, right, you can really have some fun catching the waves versus like getting drowned by the waves, as they're crashing into you. So it's really all about our felt experience. And the way I look at it is about the journey. You don't get on a roller coaster for the end. You get on the roller coaster for the ride. And so that's how I very much so look at life. It's all about the ride. And how can I...
Yeah, it's never fun when you come back and you got to wait for the next car to get loaded up and then just slowly just creep into the station.
Exactly.
We'll go into a talk about reincarnation that way. Roller coaster rides.
It's really cool when they let you just stay on and write again. But
At the end of our episodes, we always like to have our educators give us a little bit of homework, something that we could use and apply to our lives. So, do you have anything for us?
Oh man, homework.
like even if it's just an activity, just an exercise or something for like here, even if you've never done anything that we've just talked about or are totally clueless, what's something somebody could do to sort of
Experience a little bit of Reiki on their own.
Okay, so it's not Reiki specifically, but
it's homework, but in a
energy.
non-traditional sense.
Okay, so one of the things I like to do, and actually you guys can do it with me right now if you want. Jeannie's not going to have a problem at all because you're already attuned to Reiki, but it's an energy ball. So you don't have to be attuned to Reiki in order to work with energy, right? Reiki is, again, it's a way to go deeper, but you can play with actually feeling energy in your hands. So it's very, very simple. You just take your palms and put them in front of you and then have them, facing each other. And you're going to play with how close and how far they are. And what you're doing is you're just focusing on the space between them and just kind of come out and in. And you can actually, especially if you focus on this for a minute or two, the energy between your hands, you can actually start to feel almost like surface tension. So, and I can actually feel with mine right now, my hands like want to make a big energy ball. So I'm going to just let them do that. I did this fun thing. Like sometimes I do this fun thing where I'll send little Reiki energy balls to people when I'm like driving or something. I just like toss it to them. And if they want to receive the energy, they can. And if they don't, then it'll go to somebody else. But it's just like these little sort of like love energy balls.
Yeah, it gets harder. You can't really touch your hands.
Yeah. So you're not touching your hands. You're just playing with it. So like I can feel, it feels like they're getting pushed out. Like my hands want to be out this way. And, when I teach Reiki, something that I teach it's called Biosin scanning. You probably remember that, Jeannie. And when you are scanning the person's body, you're not touching, but you're going up and down the body and you can actually feel like tingling or that surface tension. It's very, very cool. Can you feel anything, Joe?
I feel like I don't know. I get like almost like little just
Tingling.
Yeah, not tingling. Almost kind of like not creaking, but like
That's your arthritis.
almost like you got like one of those punch ball things, like kind of like a balloon surface almost, and it's kind of making that like when you rub on a balloon. Yeah. I'm feeling you kind of feel that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Exactly. And we have all these meridians that run through our fingers too. So I noticed when I had started doing Reiki, my fingers would want to move in a certain way. And I was like, almost like, like a marionette kind of a feel to it. And I'm like, what is happening here? And I was like, oh.
That's what I kind of get my feel.
Yeah.
I feel like just there's moving a little bit.
Yeah. There's all these meridians running through. And I was like, oh my God, that's the pericardium meridian, or that's the heart meridian, or the Sanjiao meridian. It's pretty fun.
I think it might be good, because I think we all experience times where it's like, did you feel that? Or that's a weird feeling. And maybe it's a good reminder to people like, yeah, that's a real thing. You're not just imagining.
Pay attention.
That's some sort of energy. If you're feeling, remember when remember when I swear somebody did that to me?
Yeah. My grandma, she flicked you on the back of the head.
I was sitting in her house. So, that's what I'm, you cross over into the spiritual side. We didn't really delve into that. Like, that's a whole nother topic.
Oh, yeah.
Like energy from beyond the veil and everything,
be here
too.
For hours more. Yes, I could talk about that.
Or I guess you could call it the paranormal or,
Yeah, and I do work with a lot of beings, so like ascended masters and just different things. It's incredible. It's really
the unseen.
Incredible. The unseen, yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, great! We're gonna have to do a whole episode just about that. Well, there's some sort of paranormal society because the Best of the Fox this past year they beat us out for just for fun or something like that.
Paranormal?
It was some sort of paranormal society. So there's something out there in McHenry County. I don't know.
That's cool.
So I think a good thing too would just to be to mention, like, how does a Reiki session work? Like, what do you do? What to expect?
Typical Reiki session, usually they're around an hour, and you're going to come into the person's office. If it's not distance, I do distance work too, but a lot of people prefer in person, especially if they're new to Reiki, because you just, having that experience, having that person there. So you come in, there's usually a massage table. You're going to lay down on your back, so you're facing up. They'll give you a bolster, they'll give you a blanket, and then, before that, you'll fill out paperwork and stuff. If it's the first time, and you'll chat a little bit with the practitioner, see if there's anything you want specifically out of the session or not. So a typical session, then they're going to move around your body. If you're comfortable with light touch, they might have some light touch incorporated. If you're not comfortable with light touch, then they might be off the body the entire time or some combination thereof. And they're just going to move around your body where they're sensing the energy needs to be balanced, right? And it's usually quiet. Maybe at the end, he'll talk about, what you experienced, what they experienced, and that's sort of a typical session. My sessions and a lot of my student sessions, because I tend to, I kind of pull in the rebels, the people who are like, I'm combining a lot of different things into one. Mine are very active, meaning I'm getting a lot of intuitive guidance from my guides, from my clients' guides. And when I say guides, I'm talking about those beings, right, that we kind of referenced before. And I'm getting a lot of information about what energy is coming up. And I do a lot of very intentional clearing with my clients. So there's a lot of talking typically, especially if they're moving through a lot in their lives. So it's very dynamic. There's a lot happening. Sometimes I do things like cord cuttings, there's these energetic ties that we have between us and other people. Those need to get severed and cleared out occasionally. I do things that are more like that, or messages come through. I combine multiple modalities. So there's something that I do called access bars. That's like points in the head where it basically deletes limiting belief systems. So, and I could kind of keep going on because I have kind of such a big toolbox, but it's just whatever that person needs in that moment is what we do. So.
I've had a few sessions with you, and they're always very enlightening. And just so relaxing.
Yeah.
And we talk a lot.
No,
I know you don't have to talk a lot, but I enjoyed like the stuff that would come up, and you would bring it to my attention, and we would kind of puzzle it together on what it meant.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like if you can get the mind and the body on board, it's just like, it's easier for the person to move through whatever. And you actually mentioned it earlier, where when you're tattooing people, just you witnessing them and being there for them, and like as you're doing, the tattoos, being able to help them move through whatever by them being able to express themselves. I think that there's something really powerful in the containers that we create for people where they can be witnessed. So whatever is coming up for them. So sometimes most of the time my clients come in with something and they're like, this is what I want to work on. This is what I want to work through. And it can be very, very powerful. So yeah, I loved all of our sessions together. They're so much fun.
I remember once you told me that I put magic into the tattoos that I give people.
Absolutely.
And that always stuck with me.
Yeah, you do. You are. You're a walking, talking magical miracle. So, like.
She's a genie after all.
Yeah.
She's a wish granter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we all know somebody that desperately needs Reiki, and if they would just kind of snap to it a little bit, wake up a little bit, I feel like there's probably...
You don't got to do anything. Just go lay on a table.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear some of the stories that the two of you have said, and I feel like there's not enough people that are benefiting from this one. It's just right. There's nothing special. There's nothing, it doesn't require anything other than just you being present, and
yeah.
Well, it's like right in front of our face, but nobody's like paying attention to it.
Yeah. It doesn't require equipment like this podcast does. It doesn't require medicines or, tools. Well, I mean, Reiki as a tool, of course, but, hopefully this episode reaches somebody and they consider, hey, maybe that's what I need.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help like you said, clear out. Even if it's somebody who's got those cords that are just crippling them.
You can usually tell if Reiki's going to help you because other things haven't. Like maybe you've gone down other avenues, like especially, and you're like, this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work. If you feel stuck, a lot of my clients, that's how they originally decide to try Reiki out because it is off the beaten path. Now, I think at some point it's going to be so common, just like massage therapy, right? Massage therapist over here, Jeannie, like, that used to be like, oh, massage therapy. Like, I don't know about that. And now it's like, oh no, this actually is really powerful and is accepted. I think the energy work is going the same way, but you can really tell if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling depressed or anxious, or, a lot of people come to me with physical ailments that they went through the Western medical system and they just cannot figure out what's wrong with them. Usually it's not physical as the root. The root is something, mental, emotional, or spiritual. So that's when people usually find it. But yeah, it would be amazing if they would just like go try it out without having to get to that point. You know what I mean? Where we're like, okay, now I'm desperate. Now I will try it out. So
just have that curiosity right away, just to experience a lot of things.
More people do now than ever. And I think that's the shift that the planet is making because people are not satisfied with the support systems in place and the care that they're getting. So they are reaching out more. And that's why, my business is so successful because, what I do, it's how I serve and who I am, but it works. Like it truly works. And more people are realizing that. So
helping people, you're ushering in the age of Aquarius, helping them.
Yeah.
Well, and then with everything, being part of huge shared, like you said, Gaia, like the earth itself, I feel like that is a thing that like just the energy of the earth overall, like, maybe it reaches a point where it's maybe the earth itself puts out these energy signals. It's like, okay, you people walking around up there need to, need to kind of just open your eyes a little bit more. And I don't know, maybe we're going through that.
Yes.
I mean, everybody's always saying, "Oh, yeah, the world these days and the world these days." I mean, I think people probably said that back in World War II. Oh, the world. But
I think we're all firing and wiring together now because if we're like humans are like the neurons, and we're planet Earth's brain basically. So I think it's shifting. Maybe she's changing her mind, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think we are living in a crazy time with how much is going on with tech. A lot of things that have diverted us from that connection with technology and a lot of distractions, I guess you would say. I think maybe I could see some people needing Reiki just to get rid of the distractions in their life.
Yeah,
too.
Reconnect. And
like decluttering.
Yes, absolutely decluttering. That's that lightness. When you started talking about Gaia, oh my God, we could have a whole podcast episode just on my connection to Gaia and the transmissions and just everything that she has shown me, like on codependency, ultra independence, and it's just like a whole situation. But yeah, Reiki definitely brings us back to ourselves and connects us. And I love that word decluttering. Yeah, it's decluttering.
Well, I can see that. I can see that. Or sometimes crying out and saying like, okay, hey, no, this wasn't the deal. Like, we need a little bit, again, we need a little bit more balance here. I'm giving to you, but you're just taking, and we need to kind of start getting that yin and yang back in order.
Yeah. Well, we're all getting activated, right? More and more people are waking up. And I think that's why, is because this shift needs to happen. So I'm just honored to be part of it.
And you're very, very good at it. And I appreciate you for everything that you've ever done for me and attuning me and saying all those beautiful, wonderful things.
Oh, yeah.
And the people you help. And I brought a couple people to you before, and I've seen changes in them after just one meeting with you.
That's so beautiful. Like, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, the Reiki I was introduced to through Jeannie, but she had always referenced you saying like, Erin's like she's
I'm like, I've done Reiki on you, but I'm like, you gotta go to her. Just
She's like,
do one session with her.
Erin's the one you got it. She's the Reiki master.
Thank you. Well, you are amazing, Jeannie. So we're all unique, and it's always a synergy of magic, right? So like your magic comes alive when you're tattooing people, right? My magic comes alive in those sessions, or like when I'm doing acupuncture, or I do a lot of online mentoring and group courses and things like that. So we all have a different way, a different synergy with our magic. So
Yeah, and that's taking off for you.
yeah,
Your courses.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. I finally was like, okay, I'm here to serve the healers in business. Boom. Like it took me so long to be able to just succinctly say like, and of course I serve people, like I said, all over the map, right? But those are the ones that I think are here to make those shifts that we just talked about with Gaia, and what she's, because those are, when you're an entrepreneur, as you both know, because you both are, like it takes a certain level of badassery and courage and embodiment. Like you referenced with Joe that he's kind of in his chart, he's like this perfect masculine feminine balance. When you have that balance, you're able to take action, right? If there's too much feminine energy, then we get a bunch of ideas. Oh my God, so many cool ideas. But if we don't have enough masculine energy, right? And everyone, it doesn't matter gender. We're all masculine and feminine combination. The masculine energy helps us to take action, right? Or if we are disconnected from our feminine, then we don't know what we want. We don't have inspired ideas or thoughts, or we just are sort of lost. But yet maybe we have masculine energy, so we're going through the motions of life, right? So it's all about that balance. So good.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty fascinating that like Reiki or the energy work or just energy like transmutation or anything, it does relate to your work as tattoo artist, because it's not like, yeah, you're putting ink on people's skin, but there's that whole other level where you're connecting with them or getting just readings from
99%
them.
of the time, people are getting tattoos for a reason.
Yeah.
It's hardly ever just like, oh, I thought this was cool. There's always a deeper, with my clients, it's always something deeper.
And even with
trauma
me,
or whatever it is.
I running escape rooms. Yeah, people are just coming out to do something for fun, but sometimes you see that there's
Well, yeah, you've had times where people came and they
group
thanked
dynamics
you for offering that experience. It like takes their mind off of something they're going through.
So, Joe, you actually are a healer in business. Do you realize that? You both are.
So she's alluding to a story. It was early on, yeah, and well, that's what I'm realizing throughout this whole conversation, because I'll watch a family, and you could tell that there's like tension there, or there's maybe some issues. But I had one where it was a brother sister, and they were each there with their spouse, and they came out and they had a great time and everything was good. But the brother emailed me and like just said that he wanted to thank me for the experience that they had, because it was the anniversary of when his sister lost her child.
Oh.
And he said he's like, normally that's a really sad, somber time. Like he never sees her smile. And like they had so much fun. And he said that was the first time I saw her smile on the, anniversary of that. And he's like, I just want to thank you. That was just, so that makes me think, maybe.
So beautiful. Well, everything you do, right? So you have 3 different businesses. They're all in pursuit of, right? Like stepping away from the grind and having pleasure and connection, right? Connectivity with each other. Like, yeah, you're totally a healer.
Well, that's always my thing, is like I enjoy giving experiences that people can forget about that daily grind type stuff. So
that's beautiful.
So I always looked at it just I like to entertain, be an entertainer, but
that is like the healing, the healing, like you just said, right? That's so cool. And that's why I say like healers in business, it's such a loose term. It's not like, oh, you have to be an energy worker. Like you're of service. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, so hopefully all this can communicate to, any listener or any that maybe in their line of work, maybe they don't realize it, but they're part of a healing process too.
Absolutely.
A deeper meaning of what they do.
Or even say something, I don't want to say boring, but like something like a realtor where
absolutely
maybe they're just selling
or healers,
but they're helping a family find a home and maybe
safety.
Yeah.
My realtor is a healer. she's amazing. She's the one who found, my house. I had no business in the house that I ended up getting. She brought me there. I was like, what is she doing bringing me here? This is way out of my price range. Long story short, it ended up being my house. And there was this whole story, and I won't go into it right now, but it was, my heart is in my home, and she's the one who found it. And she's absolutely. So really being a healer is being of service. That's my definition of, having a higher calling, as opposed to like, I'm just going to make a bunch of money. Right. It's like, you can, of course, make a bunch of money. Please do. But there's this higher calling. So.
Yeah. To just help people and
yes,
provide maybe what they can't, like we said, can't get somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for
this
everything
was
today.
It
was so great seeing you again.
Yeah, you too. Thank you both.
Okay.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun. And I think we've told everybody so far, we're probably going to be back and be doing another episode because there's so many other things.
Yeah.
And this is all about deeper meaning anyway. So there's so many other things we can
talk
dive
more
into.
about. Yeah, no, Gaia.
So many more
That would
caves
be-
we can explore.
Yes.
With
Love
our
it.
little mammoth friend.
He's so cute. I wish everyone could see him. He's adorable.
So
little man.
if somebody wanted to book with you, where can we find you?
Yeah, so crystalllakereiki.com is my website. So Crystal Lake, Reiki is REIKI.com. I'm also on Instagram, 6-figure Reiki Rebel, and that's the number 6. Also Facebook, Erin Ryan. I also have a business page, Crystal Lake Reiki, there as well. So you can get a hold of me any of those ways.
Yes, check her out. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. And in the meantime, check your own energy too. And
Check yourself.
think about what's going on in your own life. And maybe Reiki is that one thing that you've needed all this time that you just never thought of.
Yeah, maybe.